It's Q&A day here at the Lashpreneur HQ, and today's Q comes from Cassandra Isaac. And she asks, as someone that is just starting out with no experience applying lashes, but does have some experience in the beauty department, what are some things that I can do to prepare for my journey? Thank you, Cassandra, for asking your question. I'm going to share with you today my top tips for what to do when you're new to lashing. And for you veteran lash artists listening today, I would love for you to join in on the conversation and share 1 to 2 tips that you have for new lash artists on Instagram. Be sure to tag at the Lashpreneur so that I can share it on my platform and we can all collectively inspire our freshies, our newbies to our industry on what they should be focusing on when they are just starting out as lash artists. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Lash Thunderdome. That's what I call it when anybody says, I'm about to take my lash training or I just took my lash training and now I'm a lash artist. I call it the Thunderdome because it's kind of wild and crazy in this lash industry. And if you've been in it for a hot minute, you get that. We're such a new industry, only been around a little over a decade. I think 2006 is when it came to the US, but it's still new and in its infancy. So it's the Wild West. We really don't have a whole lot of regulation or laws or, here's the step-by-steps. We're kind of just making it up as we go. So I was bit by the lash bug in 2013. That's when I became a lash artist, very loosely termed that because I didn't know what I was doing. Again, if you've heard this, I've literally watched my lash artist lash for an hour. She watched me for an hour, and there I was as a lash artist. So I think after 6 years of being in the lash industry that I kind of have enough credibility and experience to be able to speak to new lash artists as to what really you should be focusing on as soon as you learn, okay, this is how you isolate, this is how you dip, this is how you place, this is an eyelash extension, this is glue, bada bing, bada boom. So my first tip for you is get your hands on some real lashes. Now, I get the need for mannequin lashes when you're just learning and in your training. I get that that can help kind of take away the fear of stabbing someone in the eye, gluing their eyes shut, all that kind of stuff that comes with an actual human being. But once you've gotten certified, once you've taken your course, it really is in your best interest to have one learning curve. So that's not learning how to apply really good lashes on a mannequin or strip lash and then learning how to do it on human lashes. Human lashes, human hair is much different than synthetic. I mean, that's why we can achieve really cool synthetic strip lash looks. But when we get to an actual human who has maybe sparser lashes, they're not as strong, they're not as long, we do have to learn how to apply based on an actual client. And it just grabs differently. The adhesive works differently on human lashes as it does to synthetic lashes. So I'm all for you practicing, but I'd rather you practice on an actual human so that you only have one learning curve and not strip lash learning curve versus human hair. Human hair is completely different than the synthetic lash. So it really is a good idea for you to just get anybody with eyeballs who will let you experiment, especially in those first few weeks of you learning the technique, just to start getting lashes on there. You can tell them, hey, let me practice for an hour and then I'll remove them so you don't walk around looking all crazy, but I just want to practice. Next up, get support and have place to ask questions. Now, if your educator or trainer or training company offers ongoing support, fantastic. Even if it's paid, it's a worthwhile investment for you to be able to ask questions as you come up into issues. From an educator training perspective, you, the student, are paying me to come out with a result. And that is a skill set of isolate, dip, and place. So a lot of people get very upset, like, I didn't learn anything about eye styling or adhesive or, all the other things that are essential to having a successful lash practice. But there is only so much that we can teach in a day or two training. And part of that has to be hands-on so that you are getting the skill set and the muscle memory started so that you walk away knowing at least how to apply lashes. So it's not necessarily boo on the trainer who didn't teach you everything you could possibly need to know. Some of us, it takes years for us to learn like a good comprehensive knowledge about eyelash extensions and application. So for you to be able to have ongoing support that once you do get your hands on a human and start applying natural lashes, extensions to natural lashes, that you have somebody that's trusted that you can go to and ask questions. Maybe that's a forum, maybe that is a trainer, maybe that's just a friend and you guys are bouncing back and forth ideas. Or you can reach out to a local lash artist and offer to pay for a couple hours of her to mentor you. Again, you're going to want to be nice and offer to pay her. I know you just dropped a bunch of money on a course, but it can be a much lower rate, but much more impactful to get somebody who's experienced kind of taken under their wing. They're getting paid, so they're happy to do it. And then you get to ask questions and kind of get some more one-to-one mentorship, if you will. Or you can go work for someone else and kind of get paid on the job training. Just be careful if you ever feel like you might go out to run your own business, that you are very aware of what your non-compete says, because if you're going to go down the path of working for someone else, then you do kind of got to play by the rules, as long as they're operating their business legally. And that's a conversation for another day. My second to last tip is never stop learning. I know it seems like a given, but while I have only ever taken one official in-person lash training, I have constantly invested in my continuing education. My continuing education was online courses, online lash support groups, online forums. I attended conferences and trade shows. I was always learning. I just had only ever taken the one in-person lash course. And that doesn't mean that I didn't want to take other ones. I love the online format, obviously. So I highly recommend that you plan to take, at least when you're new, one continuing education course a year. And that can be something as simple as like just an online eye styling course, or an online adhesive training, or whatever. It can be very simple, very inexpensive, but just always be continuing your education in the world of lashes, especially because we are so new and new things come about. You guys, when I got certified, Russian volume wasn't really on the market quite yet. It wasn't until about a year later that I ever saw my first volume set, and I was like, oh, they jacked up your lashes. They glued more than one extension to a natural lash. This is bad work. I didn't know what volume was because it wasn't even like that popular, and now everybody's doing volume. So we are evolving as an industry. In fact, I just heard there's an M curl. What is this? What is this black magic you're talking about? I'm gonna have to research that. But new things are being developed all the time. Our understanding of adhesives and natural lash health has come a long way. So I want you to just constantly be a student of your artistry and your craft. And lastly, I can't express this point enough. Don't be afraid to try. Just try. Just practice on friends. Even if they're paying you, just why not offer to do their lashes? Why not offer to have them pay you, $20, $30 to practice for an hour? Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. It doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, I think it's better to own that you're new and that you're trying something, and that you're willing to, if you can find a willing participant. Even if you have current clients and you just learned volume and you want to start practicing it, if you have a rapport with a client, you can say, hey, I just took a new training. Would you mind if I tried out some new styles on you, or tried to add in some density? And, a lot of clients who are normal human beings and you're kind of friendly with would be happy to let you experiment. Some of my best clients loved it when I experimented with them, because sometimes we stumbled on like a really cool look that we just went forward with there, and I got to practice on a new technique or a new style. If you're new, you're gonna jack people's lashes up. You're just gonna. That's how you learn not to do it. You're gonna make your grandma look like a drag queen. Sorry, Grams. You're gonna probably get glue on skin. It sucks, but then you learn, I don't want to do that. Or, oh, that was too close. It's a learning process. So don't be so caught up in what the 30 lash artists that you obsess over on Instagram are doing, because that's chapter 20 for them and you're on chapter 1. So you will get there. I promise you, you will get there as long as you don't give up. We all started off with wonky lashes that were twisted, that drooped, that were unflattering, that were straight. I mean, J curl, anybody B curl, J curl back in the day, that was the go-to lash, but it made everybody look, like their eyes were drooping. They're going to look a little clumpy sometimes. You're going to have to learn how much adhesive is too much adhesive. They're going to get stuck together. Those are all normal, and it's a normal process of the learning curve. So don't be too hard on yourself that you should have it by now. I mean, if you've been doing this for 10 years and you're not there yet, then maybe it's time to take another training. But for the most part, you're going to learn so much by just doing it. And if you take the course and then they never touch your supplies again, then you just wasted a bunch of money and you don't even know if you like it, because all you've known of it is being frustrated. It's normal for you to be frustrated to want to take your tweezers and stab them into the person in front of you. I'm just kidding, but you do get really frustrated. You get really frustrated with isolation, with the adhesive not working, with lashes not, going all over the place. But I promise you, if you keep at it, isolation will become second nature. You won't even have to think about it. Your hands will just do it. Knowing how much adhesive to put on an extension and then onto a lash, you'll learn that. You'll get a feel for it. You'll develop this lash artist sixth sense. I promise it's coming, but you can't give up until you've reached that. You can take a step back. You can take a breather. You can take a rest, but don't quit, because there's so much goodness waiting for you on the other side of mastering this skill set and this artistry. It really is amazing, an outlet for those of us that are super creative. If you are anxious and stressed a lot, having this repetitive motion of isolate, dip, and place becomes therapeutic for you as the artist. And obviously the instant gratification of a client waking up and feeling beautiful and confident. Oh, guys, there's nothing like it, right? But those of us who found success and create those Instagram-worthy lashes never gave up. Even during the hard times, even during the frustrating times, we just kept trying. And I want to encourage you to continue to try. We kept finding our way. And if you walk away with anything today, I hope that you walk away with the idea that perfectionism doesn't exist. And it's hard with artist types. Like, we want everything to be perfect, especially because our work is so detailed and so finite, so small. Any little imperfection stands out to us, but a client doesn't necessarily see that. You're growing and evolving, and there's no reason why you can't be the next Maven or Lash Maker or Loretta or Hillary or Leah Lash Pro or Revelation or Megan Bradley. Like, you can be the next phenomenal lash artist in our industry, but you need to keep trying and practicing and failing and doing better the next time around. So you have my permission to fail, to do sloppy work, and so you can learn to be better and less sloppy each time, and develop that muscle memory, work it on your artistry, just be hungry to learn. So if you're just starting out your lash journey, my top tips for you are to get your hands on some real lashes, get support, and find a lash community for you to ask your questions to without judgment or cattiness. Never stop learning and investing in yourself, and don't be afraid to just try. Now, I'd love to know who's watching or listening to this episode, so be sure to take a screenshot of you eating up all these Lash Biz goodness and share it on social media, and be sure to tag me at the Lashpreneur so that I know that you're watching and listening. And for those of you senior lash artists where you've already mastered these techniques, please feel free to share your top tips for new lash artists, especially you educators, and tag me in it, and I'll share it on my Instagram so we are collectively lifting the entire industry up for everyone who's watching and listening. If you are new to the lash world and you're considering maybe starting a business, I do have a free prep and planning guide for you that gives you the step-by-steps to get yourself ready for this Lashpreneur world. And you can get that free prep and planning guide for your lash business at thelashpreneur.com/prep and planning. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. Have a good one.